he and time flew away. On the day I was supposed to try on wedding dresses with my boyfriend of 7 years, I was filled with excitement as I headed to the bridal shop. But instead, I overheard a conversation between him and his friend. "You got the marriage certificate with Candy yesterday, and today you're bringing Carrie to try on wedding dresses. Aren't you worried Carrie will find out and confront you?" He looked defeated and said hoarsely, "My brother passed away in a car accident, and Candy is pregnant with his child. If I don't take responsibility and marry her, how will they survive in the future? I'll make it up to Carrie for a lifetime. Keep your mouth shut. She can't know about this." Hearing this, I felt like my world had collapsed. I turned around and booked an appointment for an abortion at the hospital. If he couldn't give me and our child a complete family, then there's no point. Their conversation was like a piercing cold wave, erasing all the joy I felt after getting my pregnancy test results. This morning, I woke up early to get the report from the hospital, hoping to tell him the good news myself at the bridal shop. But instead, he hit me with this cruel reality. If he's already married someone else, why is he even planning a wedding with me? Before I could figure out an answer, the wedding dress designer approached me. "Carrie, we've brought in the wedding dress Nolan specially designed for you. You can try it on now." Hearing this, I was momentarily dazed. Nolan cares more about this wedding than anyone else. He personally designed the wedding rings and dress based on my preference. Inside my ring, there's an engraving, "Together forever, love unwavering." I had suggested hiring a designer to take care of everything, because I felt bad that work and wedding plans were overwhelming him. But he refused, saying, "Designing it myself shows more sincerity. I want you to think of me whenever you see these things." Everyone who heard about the wedding praised Nolan, saying he would be an excellent husband, and that I was lucky to have him. But who knew his love for me would turn out to be such a mockery? I cleared my thoughts and walked towards the fitting room with the wedding dresses, but saw a familiar face instead. Candy heard the staff directing me and turned to smile. "Carrie, you're finally here. Come see how beautiful your wedding dress is." She spoke with such naturalness, like a caring big sister. When Nolan's brother was still alive, the three of us had shared several meals together, and I got to know Candy quite well. I used to think of her as my future sister-in-law, sharing nice things to build a good relationship between us. If I hadn't overheard Nolan's conversation earlier, I wouldn't have thought she would become an insurmountable obstacle between us. Recalling what they said, I unconsciously looked at her still flat belly and felt a surge of bitterness. No matter what happens, she always has a safe harbor behind her. But for me and my child, we have nothing. I tore my gaze from her, looking instead at the intricately beautiful wedding gown. "It's indeed lovely. Would you like to try it on?" I said. A voice of disbelief echoed, "Carrie, what are you even saying? This is your wedding dress. How can you let someone else try it?" Nolan walked over with pale anger, his eyes full of disapproval. Unfazed, I maintained my composure. "What's the big deal? I heard Candy didn't wear a gown when she and your brother got married. Letting her try this one on now can make up for past regrets. Their marriage had been abrupt. They merely signed the papers and skipped the ceremony. Now Nolan has given her the title of wife, so I might as well let her have a taste of a wedding she never had." Candy was visibly moved by my words. No woman wouldn't dream of being a beautiful bride. Nolan seemed to agree with me. His expression briefly softened, saying nothing more. Sensing his change, Candy hesitated. "Can I really try it on?" I nodded, and they helped her into the gown. Nolan was already in his groom's suit. Seeing Candy try on the dress, he seemed ready to change out of his. But I caught his arm. "Candy's pregnant. It's inconvenient for her to do things on her own. What if something happened while you're gone?" He reconsidered, staying by her side, albeit with concern etched on his features. The change in his demeanor brought a mocking smile to my lips. Soon, Candy emerged with the staff's help, her figure similar to mine, the dress fitting perfectly. Her face lit up with joy, and she shyly asked Nolan, "Do I look good in this?" Nolan, lost in the sight of her, responded with a soft yeah. Another staff member noticed and exclaimed, "The dress looks amazing on you. You two are the best matched bride and groom I've ever seen." The words hung in the air. Everyone shifted uncomfortably. Candy, anxious, glanced at Nolan before forcing a smile. "No, you've misunderstood." Before she could continue, I clapped, sincerely admiring. "It's true, Candy. The gown and you are a match made in heaven. Such beauty deserves to be appreciated by everyone. Nolan looked at me incredulously. In the past, I was possessive about my things, especially a dress so meaningful. But now I offered her free rein to try it, showering praise with abandon. Carrie, you. I blinked at him. I'm just saying. I just remembered I have unfinished business at work. I need to head back to the office. I won't interrupt you two any longer. With those words, I made my way to the store's exit. Nolan started after me, but Candy held him back. As I reached the doorway and glanced back, I caught sight of Nolan gently assisting her back to the fitting room. His careful assistance, his unwavering gaze fixated on her. It's like when she's around, he can't see anyone else. I felt a bit confused at that moment. Did he marry her out of some duty he keeps talking about? Or does he actually like her? I couldn't figure it out, and didn't want to humiliate myself by digging into it. The next day, I went to the hospital for my pre-surgery checkup. When the doctor asked about the baby's father, I said he's busy with work, no time to be here with me. I thought about telling him in the morning, but after several calls went unanswered, I gave up. After the surgery, I was pale and leaned against the wall, weakly making my way out of the hospital. In the main hall, I saw Nolan there with Candy for her checkup. They both looked surprised to see me. Nolan looked confused and asked, "Are you not feeling well? Why are you here alone?" Before I could reply, Candy spoke up. "Carrie, don't neglect your health just 'cause you're young. No matter how busy you are, take care of yourself. Don't make Nolan worry about you." She spoke with a seemingly caring tone, but there was a hint of distance. I just pressed my lips together and nodded, saying, "I'm done with my checkup. Just gotta grab some meds and I'm out. You guys go on with your checkup." Nolan seemed worried and was about to come to me, but Candy held him back. "Nolan, it's almost our turn. Let's go." She rubbed her belly dramatically. "Been feeling uneasy lately. Hope it doesn't affect the baby." She emphasized the word baby, and Nolan's worry turned into an apologetic look. "Carrie, go on ahead. I'll find you after Candy's done." Back when his brother was around, he'd always respectfully refer to Candy as sister-in-law. Now he's calling her by a nickname. Watching the three of them, I realized I really was the outsider here. The man who once promised to love me forever no longer did. Thinking back to when he'd always put me first no matter what happened, my heart ached, and I choked out a, "Okay, you guys go on." On the way home, staring out at the familiar sights flashing by the car window, memories of us flooded my mind. I met Nolan in high school. He was my desk mate, a quiet geek while I was the lively one. My parents were always busy, and worried I'd not care for myself. They made me stay at the dorms. I disliked the school breakfast, and always nagged him to grab me some from outside. He'd always roll his eyes but still went along with it. This went on for 3 years. After we graduated, we both ended up choosing the same college. We were already close friends, and in this new setting, I naturally gravitated towards him. I was used to finding him whenever I had trouble, and he never complained about helping. My mom often said I shouldn't impose on him. I didn't care and repeated her words to Nolan, intending to tease. He put down his pen, a bit nonchalantly saying, "You think I'm just doing this for anyone? Carrie, if I didn't like you, I wouldn't bother." I've known he liked me for a while, so I enjoyed his attention without hesitation. When we got together, he became even more open about his affection. With him, I always felt carefree. My mom knew how much he did for me, and used to joke that the hardest thing in my life would probably be my job. But now, I think she got it wrong. The toughest thing wasn't work. It's that the person I love married someone else, and I was the last to know. Remembering those days, I couldn't help but cry. The cab driver noticed and handed me a tissue, offering some kind words. "Young lady, there's no obstacle you can't get past. Keep looking forward. Good things are waiting ahead." I took the tissue, thanking him through sobs. After paying when the ride ended, I thought about talking to a friend, but then I randomly checked my social media. That's when I saw Candy's new post from 5 minutes ago. She posted an ultrasound image and a photo of Nolan looking at a report. The caption read, "Baby, hurry up and come. Mom and Dad can't wait to see you." Nolan's mom was the first to comment, saying, "Grandma can't wait either. I'm so eager to meet my first grandchild." Every comment was from Nolan's family. From them, it was clear they all knew about Nolan marrying Candy. I recalled being at his house the other day, where they were all so kind to me. It felt ridiculously fake now, realizing they knew about the marriage while I was still dreaming about a wedding that wasn't real. I wiped my tears and went home. Before our wedding was set, I received those traditional gifts and dowries. At home, I packed everything they sent into boxes. On the day of their wedding, I'd return all those gifts. After that, I'd never have any connection with them again. After the abortion, I was weak, so I took a few days off to rest at home. Half asleep one day, I felt someone near me. Upon opening my eyes, I saw a familiar face. Nolan touched my cold hands, looking worried. "Carrie, are you not feeling well? Want to go to the hospital for a checkup?" In the past, I'd have jumped to him for comfort. But now, I pulled my hand away and tucked it under the blanket. Just a regular cold. No need for a hospital. Nolan didn't notice my hesitation and shook his head. "Why didn't you tell me? We're getting married. No need to be so formal with me." Hearing the word married, my foggy mind cleared up. Married. Right, he is married. I glanced at the cardboard box in the corner and softly said, "Yeah, since you're getting married, you might as well take your things back today." We didn't live together, but he would sometimes come over and stay for a bit, so a lot of his personal stuff was here. The day I came back from the hospital, I packed it all up. Nolan didn't catch on that anything was wrong and smiled. "Okay, since we're moving to the new place after the wedding anyway." I didn't respond to that. That night, Nolan made me a bowl of hot congee with preserved egg and lean pork, then took his stuff and was ready to leave. Watching him leave, I softly said, "Don't come over for a bit. I have a cold and don't want to pass it to you. Just stay at home and get ready to be the most handsome groom." He was kind of puzzled but listened and went along with it. He didn't come over the next few days, but still texted me now and then like usual. I just replied casually. Time flew by and soon it was the wedding day. I didn't put on the wedding dress Nolan designed for me and walk into the future I used to dream of. Instead, I bought a train ticket to travel somewhere. Right before getting on the train, someone from the hotel called me, asking when I'd arrive. I just sent them a picture of Candy, telling them, "She's the real bride." I was just helping her with the rehearsal. Find her and help her get dressed and ready. After saying that, I blocked Nolan's contact and deleted it. Then I removed the SIM card and put it in my bag. After all that, I finally felt a bit relieved. Nolan, have an unforgettable day. On the other side, Nolan had been looking forward to this day for a long time. He arrived at the hotel, completely glowing with happiness. Nolan's mom sighed and reminded him, "Take it easy. Don't go overboard. Candy's still sensitive. Don't hurt her feelings." At the mention of Candy, Nolan's smile faded a bit. "Got it, Mom. Be nicer to Carrie going forward. Don't let her figure things out." Nolan's mom sighed and nodded. The wedding ceremony began shortly. Nolan suddenly felt a bad hunch. He looked around and didn't see my parents. He didn't know that on the day I planned to run away, I had told my parents everything. Not seeing them there made him uneasy. Just as he was about to ask if anyone saw them, the ceremony officially started. He waited, feeling restless, when he saw Candy walking towards him in a wedding dress. The smile froze on his face, pale and weak, stuttering, "Why is it you? Where's Carrie?" Before Candy could say anything, a guy in a delivery uniform stepped in with a gift box, shouting, "Who's Nolan? I have a wedding gift from Carrie for you." The room buzzed with chatter at this. Everyone knew the wedding was supposed to be for Nolan and Carrie. I wasn't there, but I sent a gift. Hearing that, Nolan's eyes went blank, and everything seemed drained from him as he stumbled over to the delivery guy. Instead of signing for it, he opened the box first. Seeing what was inside, some gold and a bank card with the bride price, despair flooded him. He tried to smile, but it looked worse than a cry, tears brimming. Choking on his words, "She's calling it off. Carrie left me. Why did she leave me?" He held the gift box, trembling, asking over and over. But no one there had an answer. Nolan's mom, realizing something was off, hurried over. Just as she was about to speak, she heard his words and saw the things in the box. Fuming, she exclaimed, "This is the kind of girlfriend you chose? Running away on the wedding day and embarrassing you in front of everyone." Then she glanced at Candy, her expression softened. "Maybe it's for the best. You and Candy should just go through with it. You've already got the paperwork. You're legally married." "Mom," She hadn't finished when Nolan, eyes red, snapped, teeth gritted, "Carrie's the one I love." "So what? Just because you love her, you'll abandon Candy? Don't forget, she's carrying your brother's only child." Despite his protest, Nolan's mom insisted he tough it out and complete the wedding. When I arrived at my destination, I washed up and looked for a nearby restaurant with good reviews. I accidentally opened my social media. I immediately saw Candy's new post from 2 minutes ago. She posted 2 photos, a wedding suite with decorations, and a screenshot of her new contact name for Nolan, switching his name to baby's dad. She wrote, "Too bad the baby isn't here yet to witness our happiest day, but we'll keep being happy. Looking forward to the future, baby's dad." Seeing the post, I felt a bit dull and was about to exit when I saw Nolan's comment. Only a simple It was his silent acknowledgement of her title, baby's dad. The title made me chuckle bitterly. Suddenly I wondered, if he knew we once had a child, what would he feel? I opened his profile, considering pulling him out of the block list. But on second thought, decided against it. Letting go means really letting go. I had a great time on my trip, and bought a return ticket just when I felt like it. But when I got home and reached my doorstep, I ran into my neighbor who was just heading out. Seeing me, she was surprised and grinned. "You're finally back. Your boyfriend's been freaking out trying to find you, camping at your door every day. He just left. You can probably catch him if you hurry." I shrugged indifferently. "We're already broken up. I don't have a boyfriend. Next time you see him, please call security for me, thanks." After chatting with her for a bit, I opened the door and went inside. I'd changed the locks after leaving, so that's why Nolan couldn't get in. I didn't dwell on what the neighbor said and went about my routine, getting ready for bed like usual. The next day, I showed up at work feeling refreshed. As soon as I walked in, my coworkers, who I usually hang out with, came over. They looked around, then whispered, "Weren't you on leave to get married recently? So why's your husband looking for you at the office? He even said to call him if we saw you. Did you guys have a fight?" While I was away, Nolan kept showing up at work looking for me. When he couldn't find me there, he'd wait by my house after work. Her comments didn't stir any emotion in me. I kept it cool and replied, "I was on vacation, not on leave for a wedding. Plus, we've broken up. I have nothing to do with him anymore." "What? You guys were so close, always together. And now suddenly you're broken up? Colleagues are just colleagues. No need to share too much personal stuff." I brushed her off, saying, "We just weren't compatible." Maybe she picked up that I didn't want to talk about it further, so she dropped it. After work, as I stepped out of the building, I saw Nolan's car parked on the street. Ignoring it, I headed in the opposite direction. But then I heard a familiar voice calling from behind. "Carrie!" Nolan shouted, opening the car door and running after me. He looked overjoyed to see me, saying, "Carrie, you're finally back. I've missed you so much." I didn't meet his gaze, instead glancing at Candy sitting in his car's passenger seat, smiling at me. But if you looked closely, hers was a smile with a hint of challenge. Now that everyone knew they were married, they'd stopped pretending. Sure enough, before I could say anything, Candy stepped out, putting on a worried act. "Carrie, where have you been these days? Nolan and I were so worried about you." Especially Nolan. He's been so worried he can't eat. Look how thin he's gotten. It's heartbreaking. Sounded like concern, but it really wasn't. He's your husband. Worrying about him is your business, not mine, I said smoothly, while Nolan's face turned pale. His fingers trembled with what seemed like endless pain. "Carrie, I've always wanted to marry you." Hearing that made me feel sick. Looking at him with impatience, I said, "Nolan, do you seriously think I'm that oblivious? You've already registered for marriage with her, yet you still talk about having a wedding with me. What do you see me as? He's married. Our relationship wouldn't be legally recognized. I'd just be the other woman everyone scorns. And I despise being the third party breaking up relationships. It's not like that, Carrie. Our marriage is just in name. There's no real relationship." Nolan quickly tried to explain, but failed to notice Candy's expression changing. Suddenly, Candy doubled over in pain, clutching her stomach. "Nolan, my stomach hurts. Can we go to the hospital?" Nolan hesitated, a look of conflict in his eyes. I couldn't help but laugh sarcastically. "Better take your wife to the hospital. Don't want anything happening to your kid." With that, I didn't wait for a reply, just turned and hailed a cab away. Thought I'd made myself clear, wouldn't see them again. But then, after work the next day, as I was getting off the elevator at home, I saw Nolan's mom waiting outside my door. As soon as she spotted me, she dropped to her knees crying, "I'm begging you, let my son go. He has a wife and a child now. They can't be without him." It was rush hour. Neighbors were getting off work. As she cried, people started coming in from the elevator, stopping to watch. Hearing what she said, they probably thought I was some third party breaking up a family. Dressed flashy. Didn't seem like a good person anyway. Turns out, I'm really a homewrecker. Ruining the community's atmosphere. How could someone like that live here? Hearing the whispers, anger boiled inside. I snapped. What you said is exactly what I want to say. I'm the one begging you. Have your son leave me alone. I've told him before he's not the only guy around. If he lets me down, I'll leave without a second thought. Just like now. I've made up my mind to leave him and won't go back. As I finished speaking, Nolan rushed out from the fire escape, face flushed, disappointment in his eyes. He was out of breath, stammering, "Carrie, did you mean what you just said?" "Yes." Looking him straight in the eye, I said, "I want nothing to do with either of you. I don't ever want to see you again." "Fine, remember you said that. Don't ever bother my son again." Nolan's mom stood up quickly, adding sharply, "And don't mess with my daughter-in-law, or else don't blame me for not being polite." "Mom, stop it." Nolan snapped, cutting her off, clearly angry. Right then, my friendly neighbor pushed through the crowd, yelling, "Carrie hasn't bothered your son at all. He's the one who's been constantly pestering her." While she was gone, he hung around like a creep outside her door, asking me about her but never mentioned they'd broken up. My door's got cameras, and I can show you the footage if you don't believe me. With her testimony, those who judged me with their looks seemed a bit guilty. Even Nolan's smooth-talking mom was left speechless. When confronted, Nolan didn't get mad. Instead, he admitted it frankly. Yes, she never pursued me. I was the one always holding on. There was a helplessness and guilt in the way he looked at me. Nolan's mom got red with anger and left with a huff. Nolan wanted to talk, but I spoke first. Everything I said was true. I don't want to see you anymore. So please don't come looking for me again. After saying that, I ignored his pleading, opened the door, and went inside. Later, as I was about to tackle some unfinished work after freshening up, I got several notifications from shopping apps. Out of curiosity, I looked into it and found that a family account I had linked made several purchases for baby supplies just a few minutes ago. There were even some maternity-themed lingerie items. That's when I remembered I had linked a family account with Nolan ages ago. We always knew what each other bought on these apps. Seeing those disgusting orders and recalling how Nolan tried to make amends, I couldn't help but scorn. I went online and forcibly unlinked our family account. Then I double-checked to wipe out any trace of Nolan from my phone. Weekend came around, and a neighbor, worried I might overthink things at home, invited me out to the mall. Boldly, she said, "Pick any bubble tea you want. It's on me today." We usually share anything good we find, and buying each other bubble tea is routine. So I went along with her choice and got myself a cup. While waiting, a familiar figure caught my eye. Not far away was a woman who bore a striking resemblance to Candy. But this woman was arm in arm with an unfamiliar man. Before I could see her face clearly, they had entered a hotel across the street. "What are you looking at?" "Oh, nothing." Thinking it didn't really matter to me, I just brushed it off my mind. Until that night, when an unexpected call disrupted my sleep. I picked up the phone, and a loud wailing came through. "Carrie, you heartless thing. You just watched my daughter-in-law and grandson suffer. Give me back my grandson." Confused, I couldn't even get a word in before Nolan's hoarse voice came through. He said Candy got hurt by someone and had just been rushed to the hospital. Apparently, she was calling my name the whole time she was in surgery. I laughed at the absurdity of it. Nolan's mom insisted I visit the hospital. I didn't want to, but knowing her nagging nature, I reluctantly dressed up and went. By the time I got there, Candy was being wheeled out of surgery. Tears brimmed in her eyes, and she trembled helplessly. Nolan's mom, red with anger, started shouting and came at me. Nolan instead stood silent and shielded me. "She has harmed your only child, and you're still defending her? Have you forgotten how your brother treated you?" Nolan's mom raged. "It's not her fault," Nolan replied. Candy cried, "Yes, it is. She hates me for taking Nolan, and wants to harm my child. Mom, defend me. I couldn't help but chuckle. I instantly recognized the woman I saw that afternoon for who she was. Keeping my cool, I asked, "Are you certain your accident is related to me? If you are, I'm calling the police now." At the mention of the police, Candy's expression shifted and she stammered, "You were almost part of our family once. For Nolan's sake, let's not make this bigger than it is." I snorted, "No, I think calling the police is necessary. How else will I clear my name?" As I said this, I dialed for the police in front of them. Candy, in a panic, tried to grab my phone. Unfazed, I said, "I saw you go into a hotel with a man this afternoon. Reporting it now might help get things straight. I'm sure the police can figure out the truth." "No, don't call the police," she screamed. Ignoring her, I proceeded with the call. Hearing what I said, Candy went pale, realizing that what she thought wouldn't be discovered was seen by me. After dealing with that, I was about to leave when the doctor who performed my abortion came out. Seeing me, she looked surprised and asked why I hadn't come in for a follow-up. "Abortion? What abortion?" I asked. The doctor seemed puzzled. "The abortion, of course. You came home right after the procedure. I haven't seen how you've been recovering." She now spoke to me, advising, "Since you're here, might as well get checked. You've got to take care of yourself." The words drained the blood from Nolan and his mom's faces. Nolan, in disbelief, quivered. "Our baby gone?" I said nothing, walking away with the doctor. Just a few steps on, I heard someone collapse to the ground behind me. Looking back as I turned the corner, Nolan's mom was on the floor weeping. "My first grandchild gone," she cried between sobs. After my checkup, coming out of the doctor's office, Nolan was there waiting. His eyes, bloodshot and teary, spoke of pain and sobbing. "Is there nothing you want to say?" he croaked. I shook my head. "There's nothing more between us. Let's just part ways on good terms. Carrie, I still love you. How am I supposed to just walk away?" His voice held the breaking notes of sadness and despair. "From the moment you married Candy, it was already set in stone that we would part ways. Don't tell me you married her out of responsibility. There are plenty of ways to take care of someone that don't involve marriage. Carrie, I really had no choice but to marry her. My brother is gone, and the kid doesn't have a father. It's easy for others to pick on them. Plus, Candy is an orphan with no parents to rely on. How is she supposed to live taking care of a child all by herself?" Hearing that makes me want to laugh, but I can't. Sure, living like that is tough for her. But did you ever think about me? If I really married you and had a kid, what then? Are we supposed to be okay while she's not? Nolan, your talk of love is so cheap. I can't hang on to it anymore. Please, I'm begging you, just let me go. I'm giving up on this kid. First, I don't want him to live with the label of being an illegitimate child. Second, I don't want him asking why Dad has two families. Nolan's eyes went red from crying, torn between his sister-in-law and me, unable to make a choice. I'm tired of arguing, so I turned and left. Not long after, the police opened a case, focusing on getting to the truth of the matter. Just as the police found a bit of a lead, a tall guy barged into Candy's hospital room, ignoring her screams, and slapped her twice. "How dare you report it to the police? Did you forget how flirty you were when you were hitting on me? Now you're accusing me of rape? You don't want to play nice. Neither will I. I'll show everyone those videos of us." Candy, with her face stinging, stammered, trying to explain, but he was too enraged to listen. Getting angrier by the moment, he added, "You think you're safe marrying Nolan, right? I'll tell him that kid is mine. Let's see who protects you then." Panic flashed in Candy's eyes, and she shook her head, begging him not to say anything. But what he was saying was overheard by Nolan and his mother, standing right outside the door. Nolan's mom, furious, rushed in and slapped Candy across the face, yelling, "Because of you, I lost my grandson. Give me my grandson back." Thinking of how she lost her real grandchild, she got so upset that she passed out right there. Nolan was planning to confront Candy about it all, but seeing what happened, he quickly called for a doctor. After a series of tests, they found out Nolan's mom had suffered a stroke. She would have to spend the rest of her life in a wheelchair. When she heard the news, tears of regret ran down her face. Nolan then asked Candy for a divorce. She refused, stubbornly holding on. This time Nolan didn't give her a chance. He quietly gathered evidence of her affair and filed for a divorce, making sure she left with nothing. When I found out about this, I felt a bit of regret, but that was all. We're all adults. We gotta learn to take responsibility for our choices. No exceptions. The end.